This is the first tutorial for Fusion 360. You should have Fusion 360 opened in your computer. First thing you want to do is go ahead and close the data panel, and then we're going to change the units from millimeters to inches. Select OK. We are now going to go ahead and sketch a rectangle. We're going to use a two-point rectangle function. Click on the plane that you want to draw it. This would be the right plane. This would be the front-facing plane. This is the top plane. I'm going to click to put one corner and just drag it out. Click to put another corner. I'm going to right-click and say OK to exit the rectangle tool. For the features that you use a lot, the sketch dimension is used a bunch. So if it has a little up arrow, you can add it to the toolbar, and you can see that I've already added the sketch dimension function to my toolbar. So once I have that highlighted, I can click over here, pick that side, and tell it that I want it to be 1 inch, and hit enter. Then I can click this top side and click it to be 1 inch, type that in, and hit enter. And now I've added those dimensions. If I need to come back here later on, I can go ahead and edit those dimensions, and they're already listed here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the Stop Sketch button. It takes me out of the Sketch menu, and now I'm back to my full menu up here. I'm going to select that rectangle I made. I'm going to go ahead and right-click and open the Press Pull function. And this brings up the menu to extrude this. I'm going to come down here to this dialog box and type in 1 because I want a 1 inch cube. You can also use the little handles to drag that. Next thing I'm going to do with my cube is I'm going to pull 3 different holes into it. So I'm going to open up the sketch command again to the center circle. And instead of picking one of these 3 planes, I'm actually going to sketch on this face of my corner box that I've already made. So I click that plane. I'm going to go ahead, same thing, I'm just going to put this circle anywhere I want to. I want it to be 1/4 of an inch in diameter. And I'll just go ahead and make the circle. I'll come back and use the dimension tool. If you just click the circle, I can enter that as 1/4 inch diameter. And if I click the center of the circle and this side, it's going to give me that dimension. I'll change that to 1/2 inch so that's centered. Click the center circle and this side, and it gives me the vertical dimension. I'm going to change that to be 0.5 inches. So now we have a 0.25 inch circle in the center of our cube. I'm going to go ahead and hit Stop Sketch. And I can either select the geometry bounded between the square and the circle, or the geometry inside the circle. And I want the area inside. I'm going to right-click that and click Press Pull on that center area. And instead of going up, I'm going to come over here. I still want to do one side, but I want to go all the way through. And right now it's going upwards, so there's nothing for it to go all the way through. There's a little error message down here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the Flip command, and now it's going to go downward. So it's going to drill a hole all the way through my cube. I'm going to hit OK. So now if I come up here to the view cube, I can grab this cube and move it around and see that I have a hole all the way through here. Or you can hold the Shift key and the center mouse button and see that you have a hole all the way through that cube. You can look at the front face. You can look at the right face or the top face, or come back to the home view. I'm going to go ahead and put holes in the other 2 faces as well. You can do the same thing with the circle sketch and extrude it through. Or you can come over here to the Modify Maybe it's over here to the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and make a hole. All I have to do, this prompts me that I need a face. I'm going to put a hole in that face. I can drag this center dot to put the hole wherever I want to. I can drag these arrows to make it bigger or smaller. I'm going to go ahead and click this right face. And I'm going to drag this. You can see there's a little preview of a highlighted white dot. That's the center of the cube. And it's going to snap to that center location. I'll come over here and change my diameter to 0.25, the same as the other cube. And then for the distance I want the hole, I want it to go all the way through the cube. Looking at this face, I can't tell if it's doing exactly what I want. So I'm going to go back to the isometric view, and I can see that hole went all the way through. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and do that exact same thing for my last side. Use the hole function on this face of the cube. I'm going to look at that front face, drag this locator to make sure it's right there. It'll snap to the center. I can come over here. The diameter is already set to 0.25. I want to make sure that it's all the way through, and that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. At this point, I'm going to come over here and make some adjustments to my little box. This is going to be the corner of our structure. Come over here to the Modify and use the Fillet tool. And this is going to round the edges. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select all of these different edges. And they stay highlighted blue. I already have the Shift key held down, so I'm going to use the middle mouse button, or you can use your cube up here, to rotate this corner box. I'm going to grab this edge, and this edge. So I've got all the edges. I'm going to come over here to the radius. I'm going to start typing some numbers in. I'll try 0.02, and it gives a little bit of a rounded shape. I think I want a little bit bigger of a fillet, so I'll try 0.05. Get a preview of that. I think I'm going to go even bigger. We'll try 0.1. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK to accept that. And that just gives us a nice rounded look to our cube. If you use the middle mouse button, you can pan around and move the cube in your view screen. Or if you hit Shift and middle mouse button, it'll rotate and you can look at all the different sides. To get back to your default view, just hit the house button. Next thing I'm going to do is adjust these holes in the faces. And instead of putting a fillet on these, we're going to put a chamfer. So once again, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select all of those. I'm going to go ahead and use the middle mouse button to rotate my cube. I'm going to select all 6 intersections with the face. Go back to my home view, and we'll try a 0.05 chamfer, and that just gives it a beveled edge. That looks pretty good, so we're going to go ahead and keep that for our chamfer. So that looks pretty good for our corner box, the base part of our structure. I'm going to go ahead, click on Body, right-click it, and we're going to create a component from this body. This is going to allow us to do more things with this later on. So now instead of saying Body, now it says Component 1.1. I'm going to double-click that and rename it Corner Box. And hit Enter. Now that I've renamed this corner box, we're going to go ahead and stop here. This will be the end of the first tutorial. The next tutorial will cover making the second part, the strut, and the third tutorial will cover how to assemble them.